Oh, why is it so dark? Did you turn on the light or let me look outside? And let me go outside. Yeah, I think I'll go outside. Mm. Mm. Put on some shorts. What happened to my shorts? Where did I put them? Anyway, today is the first day of the rest of your life. Right? Right. Let's see if I can find some shorts in here. They're there. Did I have some red shorts? I put them on. I threw them around somewhere in this room. I can't find them. So I'm gonna grab another pair of shorts. I already got a shirt on. I got socks, underwear. Putting my shorts on. It's Saturday morning. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Could you be mine? Mine? Quiet. Someone's sleeping. Oh. It's another big window. Oh. Let's see. Where's my shoes? Yeah. So check out this yoga mat. Is this one mine? I don't know. What about this one? No, this one's not mine. They've been washed. I'm gonna borrow this one and set it out here. Can't find my shoes that I left here before. Maybe they're back here. No. Oh, here they are. Yeah, I want to put these on. These slippers. So if I go outside. Good morning. Oh, the sprinkler is running. I could put the yoga mat here, right here, in a place that's dry. There's a little wet area where the sprinkler has hit the ground. This is the backyard. Nice. Let's see. I'm gonna raise my left hand. Uh-oh. I gotta switch this. It's not right. Let's see. I can do this. Let's see. Security recording. Meeting settings. General. Host controls. Meeting settings. It's not there. Where can I change that setting? I'm gonna do this. There we go. Okay. Now I'm gonna turn it over here. This is my right hand. Does it look right? I can't tell because I can't see myself. I can use the mirror to see myself. This is my right hand. Okay. I saw myself in the mirror on the window. When I raised my right hand on the window, it was backward. I recently reset my phone. Ooh, the sprinkler is hitting me. Oh, it's almost getting me wet when it comes by here. I didn't wash my teeth or do anything. Maybe I should drink some water. I was listening to, what's his name? He's very good. Alan Wallace. On a retreat on YouTube. I was listening. Oh, I set it on auto play, I guess. And it kept playing videos of Alan Wallace. Wow. Oof. Yeah, that's because I searched for a video on Tibetan Buddhism, low rig mind, mind what? Mind consciousness. How do you define consciousness as a Buddhist scientist? Let's see. Science and non-duality. This one was pretty good. I think I saw this one. Maybe I did.
First of all, Buddhism is about 4 or 5 times older than science. And old doesn't mean it just it's much longer, and it's been diversified these last 25 years. Japanese Buddhism, Sri Lankan Buddhism, Mongolian. So it's very diverse. It's really like a living organism that is mutated according to the different cultures and assimilated in different cultures. So there are themes that you can speak about from Buddhism where you can simply say, these are the Buddhist teachings, but there's a lot of variety as well. But to start with consciousness, I can give a definition that is very widely held. And I think one reason for that, it is radically empirical. And by my predisposition, my inclination, I am very much an empiricist. And so I've heard a number of definitions of consciousness. I think there are about 50 that are being bandied about these days. But the one I'm going to give you now, of course, I'm not suggesting it's the right one, when it comes to definition, the only question that comes to my mind is it useful or not? And so here's the definition of consciousness. It is a natural phenomenon, process, an event, an experience that is characterized by two distinctive features or qualities. And the first of these is cognizance. Cognizance. In fact, I'm going to invert that, because in fact it says in Tibetan, Sel Shingorikpa. The first one, Selwa, means luminosity, but not as in bright, some radiant, bright light or something like that. But luminosity in the sense of it is consciousness that makes manifest all experiences and all appearances. So as I gaze at your face right now, clearly there are appearances, like there's form, there's color and so forth, shading and all of that. There are no appearances from your side. That is, the molecules themselves have no appearances. Photons have no appearances. There are no appearances inside the brain. So often, even yesterday I heard a lecture in which the speaker, who was a neuroscientist, was saying, and here consciousness is here in the brain and here and here. There's no evidence for that at all, actually. It's just a way of speaking which is kind of unhinged from reality. Neurons don't illuminate anything. Photons don't illuminate things. Molecules.
Sure. That's kind of possible.
Well, first of all, Buddha. And all doesn't mean it just it's very diverse. It's really like a living.
Yes.
I can give a definition that is very widely held, and I think one reason for that is radically empirical. And my predisposition, my inclination, I am very much an empiricist, and so I've heard a number of definitions of consciousness. I think there are about 50 that are being bandied about these days. But the one I'm going to give you now, of course, I'm not suggesting it's the right one. When it comes to definition, the only question that comes to my mind is it useful or not? And so here's the definition of consciousness. It is a natural phenomenon, process, an event, an experience that is characterized by two distinctive features or qualities. And the first of these is cognizance. Cognizance. In fact, I'm going to invert that, because in fact it says in Tibetan, Sel Shingorikpa. The first one means luminosity, but not as in bright, some radiant, bright light or something like that.
Michael.
Luminosity in the sense of it's consciousness that makes manifest all experiences and all appearances. So as I gaze at your face right now, clearly there are appearances, like there's form, there's color and so forth, shading and all of that. There are no appearances from your side.
Welcome.
Because the molecules themselves have no.
Hello there.
Welcome, Michael. Thank you for joining us. We have special guest, Alan Wallace. So what is your definition of consciousness?
What is my what?
Definition of consciousness.
I wasn't aware I had a destination, nor even that I was not necessarily on a bus.
On a bus?
Yes. Or is it a ship or a plane or something else?
You weren't aware that you were on a destination or on a trip, on a bus or something?
Well, sometimes it does feel like a trip, but where it goes, I'm not sure. There is a theory that they don't let us know that we're going somewhere so that we will pay more attention to the scenery.
So we're on a trip with an unknown destination to us so that we pay attention to the scenery.
Yes.
That's interesting. So, and if we knew what the destination was, then what would happen?
Then we wouldn't pay attention to the scenery. And maybe the point of the trip would be frustrated.
We wouldn't pay attention to the scenery, and the trip would be frustrating.
Yes.
Because we would want to get there now.
Quite possibly.
Or we would wonder where we're at and when will we make it?
Yes.
And if we knew how much time we have left to get to the destination, we could budget our time to do something to distract ourselves. Or we could look at the destination, or look at look at the scenery, or maybe not.
I don't know. But of course, this is only one theory, only it shouldn't be called a theory. Story, maybe, and it may not be a correct one. But I'm not sure about this business of destination. The way I tend to look at it is I have things that I want to do and things that I should do, and those are what I pay attention to.
You have things to do, and you pay attention to the things you have to do or want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And how did you determine what things you wanted to do or have to do? Was it based on the lack of destination, or do you suspect there is a destination and you came up with those things to do based on your imagined destination? Maybe you made up a destination. You were bored of not having a destination.
Well, no, I can't say I thought about it that way at all. It's more like you find yourself in the toy store and here are all these entrancing toys all around you.
Oh. So that's like a philosophy of life, a way of living, to not worry about a destination or not think that there is a destination, and focus on the scenery, on what's presented, and make the most out of it, to have fun in the toy store.
Yes, but of course there is also a sense not simply of fun, but of obligation, of feeling one should do certain things.
Oh, wow. How does one determine one's obligation? Oh, I guess preservation, self-preservation,
Well,
induces obligation.
sometimes that plays a role, but more fundamentally, I have noticed that as I go through life, I often find myself in situations where there is something within me that insists I really ought to pay attention to this detail. I ought to go in that direction. I ought to clean up this room. I ought to give someone a call. I ought to do this or that. And there seems to be something within me that rises and gives me a certain amount of nudging as to what I want.
Oh, it's the persistentness of anxiousness. You're anxious to do something. Yes, something nudges you. It depends on the time of the day. Something nudged you to get up this morning and join us this morning in a Zoom meeting, to wake up and think clearly, to think clearly and wake up.
Do I get to think clearly before I wake up?
No, no, I think waking up involves thinking clearly. When one thinks clearly, one is waking up. Oh, we have special guest, Luis Del Pino. He's in the waiting room. Should we make him wait longer? Yes, let's have him wait a half an hour and see if he'll still be there. Isn't that mean? No, wait a minute.
Well, that tells me something of what you think your destination is.
Oh, the destination?
Yes, to keep people on pins and needles.
Oh. Something's nudging me to let him in. I let him in. Wow, I feel powerful. Luis. Where is he? Oh, I have to close this. Oh, Luis Del Pino. Oh, he's connecting. He's not fully there yet.
He hasn't materialized completely.
He's not materialized. Yeah.
Our electronic seance is not completely convened.
Maybe we have to focus more on visualize what we recall of his face, so that it will materialize, because we're generating this reality.
Yes.
Oh, he sent a message to Zoom or not to Zoom. Oh, there he is. Yes, we materialized him. We have a Luis Del Pino.
We summoned him.
We summoned him.
Good morning, guys. Happy Sunday. Happy Saturday. I'm sorry. I have destroyed space-time already.
Okay.
Luis Del Pino is in the house.
Good to see you guys.
Good to see you.
And we have super special guest Mike Taylor, the mathematician, and I sent him and maybe did I send him an email?
A question.
No, a question. What is
amplituhedron?
A what?
The amplituhedron.
What is an amplituhedron? And that motivated him to join us, because now he's going to give a presentation to us on the amplituhedron. And this could solve all our problems. It could help us realize what is our destination? And once we know what our destination is, we will exit out of samsara, the cycle of cyclic existence, where we're born, we grow up, we think about having sex with some other form that attracts us, and we have kids, and what else happens? Well, we get sick sometimes, and we start growing old when our hair falls or goes gray. But my hair is growing gray, but that's not because I'm getting old. That's because I'm getting wiser.
And bolder.
Older?
Growing bolder instead of older.
Oh, bolder. No, that's because I'm bold. I'm fearless.
My kids used to razz me about the fact that my hair was going away.
And lo and behold,
They quit that when I talked to them and said, look, the reason that hair is going away is that my brain is so powerful that the radiation from it kills the hair off.
the roots.
Then I looked at them more closely and said, how come you got so much hair?
That's why the Buddha didn't even shave with his enlightenment. It destroyed all his hair and it fell down by itself. How do you like that?
I love it. All right, guys. Well, so are we going to talk about the Altituhedron? And, you know, Mr. Nima Arkani Hamid, who is the one with another one or two collaborators who came up with that idea.
Wow.
Is this relevant, or should we talk about something else?
I don't think there's a great deal that one can say about the Altituhedron without several years worth of study.
Oh.
Oh man, we're out. We're already out.
I know very little about the Altituhedron. I know how to spell it most of the time, unless I happen to have a spasm.
Well, but are you familiar where it comes from? Are you familiar with Nima Arkani? What he's proposing? He started talking about that space-time is doomed. He came to the conclusion that the deeper we go into the 10 to the minus 33, we are stuck, because the more energy we put in a small place, we make a black hole, and of course we can't see anything or measure anything other than what may be coming out of it, the radiation or whatever. So he has I found it interesting, because I always, in my ways, non-scientific ways, I try to understand the nature of being, which I have reduced to the vibration of emptiness, represented by the dance between 0 and 1, creation and destruction. You can call that too, like that, to eternity, because quantum nature tells us that the 0 cannot not become 1. So that's what I looked at a couple of lectures. Of course, I understand only 1/1000 of what they're saying, and I try to apply it to my perspective, which is non-mathematical.
Hmm. Did you watch this lecture?
Yeah, he has like a half a dozen lectures where he talks about what they're trying to do.
Whoa.
And basically what they're trying to say is that space-time is not fundamental, that there's something under, that the space-time is emergent. The space-time is emergent from something else, something more unitarian, more basic. and that we use space-time as a background to explain what's going on, but in the end, we need to kind of go through it, transcend space-time, in order to explain where it emerges from. Now, that's where I kind of get lost, but at the same time, my intuition is telling me that that's what makes sense. That's what is, because I feel that reality has no beginning and no end, that it is a never-ending cycle of change, which goes very well with the ideas of impermanence, emptiness, and of course the what it does at the psychological level, you know, between cosmos and the 0-1, there's the mind right there in the middle with our little cells running around. So I have what this guy is talking about in mathematical terms. I interpret that, yes, the dance of 0-1 is never ending. So it is transcendent of space-time.
Did you get that, Mike?
Well, yeah, I know, I'm familiar with the fact that physicists are branding this idea around that there is some more fundamental concept to work with than that of space-time. And of course, in theology, in religions, at least certain religions, you run across the idea that space and time are somehow or other not real.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a pretty straightforward sort of thing to deal with. From my perspective, space and time, when we encounter them in problems that are dealing with physical situations, are simply models of the things that we happen to be observing. We have some information from things like quantum mechanics and from relativity theory that our intuition about these models is not necessarily that good. And it follows from that there may be other models floating around rather than those.
To this regard, I looked to another presentation, another video from Robert Dijkgraaf. I don't know if he's Danish or Swedish or one of those, and it kind of mentions and he looks at the problem from a very, very wide open historic perspective, and he talks about geometry as a solution to the space-time fizzling out, in a sense that they're trying to describe what happens at the very, very Planck scale in geometrical terms. So the idea of geometry comes back again to the rescue, and they're talking about some entropy. So they're trying to describe the very, very tiny, well, the tiniest, which is a Planck scale by a Planck scale in dimension, in terms of geometry and entropy. Now, I don't know where that might take him, but I can share that with you guys, and if you are interested in looking at it, I don't know. I mean, I found it interesting that they would. You are into geometry, right? You are writing about some geometrical notions to understand some process better, to maybe make some computations easier. Actually, this Altituhedron is to simplify all the calculations that Feynman came up with in order to explain how the particles, interchange, the scattering. To explain the scattering, they had to come up with enormous calculations. And this guy came up with something that simplifies those calculations to describe the same process. So geometry is it, Mike.
Oh yes, one of the reasons I went into the geometric algebra was because there was an algebra with a strong geometric content, and I could do even more geometry than I normally could with analytic geometry and calculus. And I thought that was, very neat, very pretty. And I had the feeling that potentially it probably had lots of applications. And that's why I put together this book that I'm trying to figure out how to self-publish.
That's probably much more difficult than any formulas that you might be talking about in your book.
No, not really.
What is scattering?
Well, if you get technical on me, I get lost.
It's when you drive into a crowd of protesting politicians and they go this way and that.
Like there's a boom. Yeah. I would
But
say
you
it's
mentioned Richard Feynman and his theory or what he came up with, and you mentioned scattering. Is that something that's happening or that happened? What is it?
Well, Mike, you probably know much more, and you can explain it much better.
I know nothing about scattering theory. One of the things on my to-do list, I think probably next decade, is to go back and learn some elementary physics and try to blend it with some of the mathematics that I know about. I can do just extremely simple things like talk about trajectories of projectiles, things that I did in calculus class. But I can't really, do that much with the mathematics at this point.
Yeah.
But
well,
go ahead.
No, please.
I'm not sure where I was going, so go ahead.
The way I understand it, and I'm not a mathematician, and I'm just a thinker. I'm just trying to make sense of things. And I try to use any science that I can get my hands on, however awkwardly I might be able to use it to make sense of my own consciousness and the world around me. But Feynman, what he did was to describe the way particles at the very basic level of atoms or under atoms come out of nothing when you collide particles and you break them apart. You have other more fundamental particles coming out. That's how they came up with a standard model. And the Feynman diagrams described that scattering of how particles would become another particle, become two particles, and then reunite, how a particle would come out of space, become two, and then become one. And so that's what he described for all the different particles that there are, the pions, the mesons, the quarks, the ups and downs, and all that stuff that I never memorized. I don't even try to memorize it. And of course, all that is very complicated mathematics, because you have to use complex numbers. Everything is probabilistic. So it's just a dance of, it's like a very complicated stuff. Of course, I try to interpret that not from the mathematical standpoint. I just try to go to the summary, the discussion after they've done all that stuff. They've read the paper and then they talk about it and the ramifications for our thought, for our understanding of reality, about what they're seeing and what the formulas are saying. Everything points to the general idea that I've made myself up, my epistemology, that everything is probabilistic, that everything is organismic, it's a big dynamic, eternal, and infinite process, and that it has no purpose whatsoever. If anything, it would be the quantum nature of reality that is the purpose, but you cannot call that a purpose, not at least in human terms. And that's my interest in trying to understand the deepest implications of inflationary cosmology and quantum mechanics, in trying to then reduce my understanding at my human level.
What is the Feynman diagram?
It just describes particles changing into other particles, combining, disappearing. Sometimes they're just, you have the two particles that go into a direction, then somehow they split apart instantaneously. One thing becomes two, as if by magic. Then they go into a certain ways, and then they recombine into the same original particle, or disappears, or all kinds of. So it describes the behavior of particles at the atomic level.
Yeah, Feynman graph, basically you're looking at a situation where you have, as Luis said, particles. You have protons, neutrons, you may have photons, you may have other stuff floating around, and you can draw a graph in the sense that you've got directed line segments that connect one with another at nodes. And somehow or other in the graph, you can encode information about how these various particles interact one with another. For example, you may have a line that suddenly ends in a point and branches into two other lines, indicating some sort of process in which it splits into different particles. And the Feynman diagrams apparently can be used to analyze various quantum mechanical situations and make conclusions and calculations about what happens in these situations. Other than that, I can't really tell you anything about them. They're simply a device, like a slide rule.
Like this?
Yeah,
Yes.
like that.
Yeah, that?
Yes. Yeah.
What?
Now that wiggly line that
Is
you
that-
see, there's probably either a different particle or it's no particle at all. That something disappears and reappears
Oh, there's a,
from nothing
there's an
into those two
electron.
things.
There's an electron,
Wave.
E minus, and a positron, E plus, producing a photon of V, represented by the blue sine wave. Oh, so an electron and a positron are annihilated to produce a photon. Then it goes over and becomes a quark antiquark pair. Quark
Well,
Q
there
and
you have it.
antiquark Q.
Very easy for us to understand, extremely complicated in mathematical terms, to
So-
describe what they're seeing, what they're, because an electron is just another measurement of something that they can't see anyway. It's just an energy that shows up, and it has a mass, and it has it has a charge, and it has a spin. They can measure those things, but I don't think we've ever seen an electron in and of itself. We see photons for sure, but electrons, I don't think we've ever seen one. We have measured what they do. As a matter of fact, they are telling us that all the electrons are just one electron because they're so identical that Weiner and Feynman had a conversation about that. He says, hey, how come all the electrons are so identical? And he said, because it's the same one. There's only one electron that shows up everywhere.
Wow, that's incredible. So what we're seeing here outside is a scattering of photons. They've collided against a heavy or denser molecules on the tree, and the molecules are made of atoms, and the atoms are made of neutrons. What's the one in the center? Well, electrons spinning around it. What's the other one? Electron. What's the particle in the center of an atom besides a neutron?
Proton.
The proton.
Proton. Yeah, the proton, neutrons stuck together, and then electrons or electrons spinning around, and they're combining to form molecules, and then they're combining. They're more and more complex, and they form cells. How did those cells form? They didn't, or those molecules didn't organize and say, "Hey, let's form a leaf." But we gotta form. No, it came from a seed that formed this tree, and that bush, and all these plants, and the grass, and then there's the sky. It's a less dense, so it allows photons to get scattered when they hit the tree and the sky too. And it goes into my eye, and I see this, and my eye is a camera. But then who is seeing all this? Who? Tell me who? Consciousness? What is consciousness? Define consciousness for me.
You go first, Mike.
Well, I can't define it for you because I have no trace of it.
No,
I'm not really here.
zombie.
And I know because I'm watching very closely to see if I'm here, and I see nothing.
Wise.
Wow. So you've passed the Turing test. We were fooled into thinking you were there.
Well, I'm
Anyway.
not here, and I'm not so sure about you other guys either.
Oh,
Well, that's a beautiful description of the universe you just gave us, Jairo, and you didn't use one single formula.
there's a lot of scattering going on. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
billiard balls, but they hit at different angles, and they go, and it produces the rainbow. The way they scatter produces the different colors. We see blue because the other colors are being absorbed, and the blue is coming back. Or we see green because the blue is being absorbed. The red, oh, there's a little bit of red there. The yellow and the green and some black is coming back and hitting me.
To me, what you
And
just
look at
said was
those flowers.
beautiful, Jairo. It was beautiful to the way you described it. It's just, and then you ask, what is consciousness? I would say that consciousness is the organismic, probabilistic, emergent phenomenon we call a knowledge that knows it is knowing, through which the whole, that whole that you just described, is able to experience itself with a certain degree of clarity. That's the way I describe consciousness.
It,
My cat will now describe consciousness to you.
I'm gonna listen very, very closely.
Okay. Now he's going to use technical language. and
Called
he-
purring.
well, it is mostly made up. It's a binary language. It's made up of meows and anti-meows.
What about the purring? Doesn't it describe the 0-1 dance? You know,
Well,
the vibration.
The purring only occurs when he manages to get close enough to sink his fangs in your ankle.
I can see, as usual, that appearances can be deceitful because he looks like a very peaceful cat.
You know, when we look at Hiero's property and the lake, you know, I don't find myself thinking in the terms that Hiero thinks. I think I'm looking at a sky, I'm looking at trees, I'm looking at lake. It's a lovely scene.
Yes. Yes.
To me, the other description, it has possibly for the audience a certain amount of abracadabra value.
Yeah.
It's filled with impressive polysyllabic terms,
Very complex.
okay, which may evoke emotions from people, but it doesn't seem to me to have that much value, except to the extent that I can sometimes learn enough that I can play with whatever models are being described by that language.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yes. It's absolutely beautiful. I always say that there's a guy that asked, it was a scientist who asked, I think it was Pauli. He was talking to Schrodinger. He sent him a letter. He sent him a message. And he said, I think I understand your idea of the uncertainty principle.
Mhm.
If I open one eye, I see a particle. If I see the open eye, I see a wave. If I open both eyes, I'm crazy. And you just described the two visions of looking at reality from that hedonistic, in a sense, way. It's like, it's beautiful, it feels good, it is wonderful. You know, it makes me feel good. The colors, the air, the flowers, the shadows, the trees, the life. So that emotive way of looking at the reality. And then there's the other one that goes, this is made of 0-1s, and that's the way it works. And then you have cells, and then you have trees, and then you have blah, 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 blah. My view, in a sense, I think I am crazy because I'm looking at both of them at the same time. I'm combining the conventional humanistic way of looking at life with the absolute cold, how does this work? The how. And in doing so, I do get a sense of wonder that I think is superior, or at least more expanded, a little bit wider than just enjoying the beauty of nature, which, you know, is normal because we are nature. So nature likes nature, and it's part of being alive. So we specifically, we kind of like some part of nature, but not the other part. If we were in a war zone, I don't think we would enjoy the sky very much. But those fundamentals are still the same. So this combination of conventional perspective, particle, and the other, wave, is a crazy way of looking at reality. And yet I believe that it is more complete, in a sense, because I can enjoy both at the same time.
Okay.
Now, I'd rather talk more about the mechanism. My questions are, how does this work? Because we always talk about the other thing. How beautiful are the trees? Oh, they are very beautiful, and we enjoy them. How beautiful is nice green lawn, and how beautiful is the blue and the water behind it reflecting the sky. So that is so almost trivial in mathematical ways, trivial stuff or just mundane, that while talking about that, it's a no-brainer. Everybody likes nature, happiness, love, getting along, justice, all that stuff. But when things are not pretty, the mind then blocks, and it's like, this sucks. Most people in the world are sucked up. It sucks. Life is not good. I don't have enough stuff. I don't have a job. My wife left me. My son doesn't talk to me. The neighbor's an ass. Traffic sucks. The world is coming to an end. The planet is going to be annihilated. There's global warming. We're all going to die like rats. That's in general the human being out there. And that's very, very sad. That is very, very sad. So how do we get the mind out of that sucky situation? It necessarily has to be a transcendent way. Where is the beauty in a war zone? Where is the beauty in a recession? Where is the beauty in a development where there are no trees, there is no lake, everything is just concrete and wires? How does a mind stuck in something like that transcend the non-beauty, and how does it go? This is absolutely just the way it should be, because it is the way it is. Beyond our expectations, beyond, I wish this or that or the other. That's why I always say that happiness or ataraxia, the peace of mind, is a measure, again, very scientific, between what is and what each consciousness, each mind thinks or wishes should be.
What do you think, Mike?
That I'm crazy.
Oh, no. Well, one of the reasons why I find the study of mathematics and subjects such as geometric algebra so attractive is because when I go there, I encounter beauty, something which is fascinating. But notice that within the ideal of cold, careful, icy logic, there is no place for beauty.
So how do you combine both?
There is something which is in some sense outside that system of thought.
That's right. The building is beautiful, but the structure is just
Now,
trivial, ugly.
When I look at Hyros Lake, again, I encounter beauty.
Mm-hmm.
The beauty there is something which comes in some sense through my senses, through my physical existence. I am wired to bring in all of these marvelous signals, and there is something in me which responds to those and opens and blossoms, if you will.
Yes.
In the realm of mathematics, it is much more like climbing a mountain, an Everest, high and cold. And yet, if you do it, if you persist, after a while, you begin to discover great beauties there. There is something else that comes in.
The peak moment, that's called in psychology, like a time stops, you have a realization. It's like, wow, this is
Well, that's
big.
part of it.
Yes.
That's part of it. But there is, as I say, this sort of growing sense of beauty, of something
An
which
intuition.
is quote unquote real,
Yes.
though not in the same sense in which, say, a tree or a pebble is real.
Or the way we interpret it, yes.
Yes.
So what's real, what you're looking in there, if I may say, is the intuition of the whole of reality.
Yes.
The whole is starting to see itself very clearly through that mathematics, that conduit. I mean, a very fundamental truth is coming out, which is inexpressible and ineffable, because it's the whole. You can't talk about it. You can talk about the mathematics, you can feel the beauty of it, but it's in and of itself, you can't talk about it. You can talk about it, but you cannot talk it.
Well, you can talk about it, but as a general rule, people cannot experience it until they themselves have climbed the mountain.
That's right. That's right.
Sea.
That's right. So, and this, what you're saying is absolutely beautiful, because what you are describing is, in Buddhist ways, it's going from one shore to the other. The vessel, the yana, the Hinayana, the Mahayana, it's the same thing. It's the mathematics, but of course it's a different kind of mathematics, but similar. So you work the middle way, the Eightfold Path, is mathematics, but from a different perspective. And you go from this shore, the conventional shore, the run-of-the-mill, mundane experience, and you take that vessel and you start traveling across to the other shore. And as you get closer and closer, you get like an intuition of what's on the other side. But of course, what on the other side is the whole, which you would have to kind of stop being mundane. You have to stop being a one. You have to convert yourself into the 0-1. So the description that you just gave in mathematical terms is the same, is applicable to the Eightfold Path, the spiritual experience, the and I don't like that word, the existential experience, where a reality is formed, coalesces into a consciousness, and the consciousness goes back to the whole through the experience of knowledge, because if you don't know, you don't know. And so the human mind, through mathematics, through science, through biology, through nutrition, through whatever knowledge combined, because it has to be consilient, is reality just traveling from 0 to complete 1. And the edifice is like a war. It's a war path. But as more knowledge becomes clear, that intuition of the whole becomes more and more apparent and feelable. You have that sensation that something absolutely beautiful, absolutely beyond your own possible consciousness is there, that you're looking at it better and better and better and closer and closer and closer. In a sense, you could talk about a consciousness that becomes a superconductor, a consciousness through which is able to be itself without any thought, any filtering, pure being.
Luis, you define
experience the scent of the rose without thinking of it.
Right. So instead of just enjoying it, it's a pure experience. And that's what reality is, pure being, beyond any consideration. And as such, because it's pure being, it is pure potential, everything, infinite potential, but no actualization. And David Bohm wrote a beautiful book about the implicate and explicate order in that sense. And I go back to the zero. The zero is infinite potential because it's nothing, but it could be anything. And one is the explicate side of the reality, the mundane, the observable, the phenomenal. So the phenomenal is the one, the non-phenomenal is the zero. The combination, the change between, the vibration between 0 and 1 is that process of being, between pure being, which there's no, it's infinite vibration, let's put it that way, a pure 1, and then the infinite potential, which is pure 0.
Luis, you defined consciousness, and it involved an organismic process where a, I guess, can I use the word, a sentient being is able to cognize something, and then can you integrate the word beauty with your definition of consciousness? Is the presence of beauty something out there or in the consciousness? And is the beauty in this domain of the lake? Is that the same kind of beauty that Mike experiences in the mathematical domain? Or so can you say that beauty is whatever attracts the consciousness and finds pleasure in it, or happiness or joy in it? A bliss?
Beauty, just like pornography, is in the eye of the beholder. So I don't know, each mind, each consciousness defines everything in its own terms. But we have to understand that consciousness is not separate from the whole of reality. So any consciousness is reality looking at itself. And thus it's reality looking at itself with a certain degree of, I would say, scientific accuracy, because nothing is accurate that is not scientific. How do you describe beauty, ugliness, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, is part of the mathematics, the harshness of mathematics, having to climb the mountain. It's cold, it's tough, you sweat it out, your muscles ache, you lack oxygen. That's a difficulty. That's why the Four Noble Truths put that at the beginning, that being is striving. And the mind has an unconscious intuition that when there is no experiences, there is no suffering. Of course, there's no pleasure either. But that's why I like the word ataraxia rather than happiness or pleasantness or joy or, you know, a sense of well-being, because ataraxia is the no trouble, no convolution, no churning of the mind. And everybody makes the mistake when they study the Eastern philosophies that they think that nirvana is pleasant in the sense of joyful, it gives us pleasure and everything. No, because nirvana is reality, the whole experiencing itself fully. That means that it is a transcendent experiencing that goes beyond pleasure and pain. Like Nietzsche wrote, beyond pleasure and pain, beyond good and bad, beyond good and evil. The whole is beyond any consideration regarding the whole. So the intuition of the mind, the intuition of the mathematician, in trying to understand the whole through mathematical formulas. Just like any consciousness tries, is the reality trying to understand itself without even knowing it, because it's an intuition. Reality doesn't think for itself. It doesn't have its own brain. Reality only thinks through the emergent consciousness that emerges from it, with a probabilistic number. So basically, there is an intuition in each consciousness that, in understanding or experiencing the whole fully, the dukkha, the agitation of the mind, the churning of the mind itself, disappears. But lo and behold, with it also disappears beauty, in a sense, in the human sense of beauty and peace and feeling good and beautiful things. In a sense, let's put it this way: a transcendent mind is able to feel the same way about your backyard, Haido, as in the middle of a war zone where human beings are being torn to pieces and there's blood spattered all over the place. That sounds very difficult from the perspective of the human knowledge, but from the perspective of an enlightened, transcendent consciousness, that is possible. That's
So
weird.
there,
That sounds crazy to the regular human being.
so you said that consciousness is everywhere? Did I hear that? Or is reality?
You could, well, reality is everywhere because it is everything, and it is eternal and infinite. There is no place in the space-time continuum where reality ceases to be. Even in
And
zero, where there's nothing happening, that only happens at a 10 to the minus 33 space and 10 to the minus 40 something time.
and does an electron and a proton and a positron and a photon, neutron, yeah, proton, and parts of it, they are all consciousness bits, we could say?
That's the math of reality. I'm gonna have to let you go, guys, because I made a commitment to not go over 8. I'm already 9 minutes late.
Ooh, thank you for joining
Thank
us.
you.
And we
Thank
will
you very
further
much for
ponder.
being there and listening to my ramblings. I'm not sure if I'm talking to others or myself. I am sure that reality is talking to itself, unbeknown to itself.
What do you think, Mike? Did he get you to find beauty there? Bye.
Bye. Well, Jairo, I think you're a little bit like a mad scientist who has a beautiful rose pinned to a dissecting board, and you're saying, this has beauty in it, and I'm going to dissect it until I find the beauty.
The beauty bit. The beauty atom. What makes beauty? It maybe I could extract beauty and put it in something and
Yes.
manufacture it more and sell it and become rich. If I can make beauty.
Oh, beautiful.
If I could, what is it? If I could possess beauty. That's what everyone wants, or everyone is attracted to beauty. And it causes, maybe beauty is the cause of suffering because we are attracted to it and we want to possess it and we strangle it and it dies on us. And then we suffer because we have killed off the beauty that we possess.
Wherever we experience it and we turn our perception to it, there it is no longer.
Wherever we turn to it, it's no longer there. Is
It
that because
tends to have
get
that property.
we get bored with it, or after a while we our senses get tired of it? Oh yeah, that's delicious.
These are explanations we invent for ourselves to explain why it disappears.
Why does it disappear? We have we
If
have to get away from beauty and look for ugliness. Otherwise, if we don't have some ugliness, then we won't know the difference between what's beautiful and what's ugly. Or if we eliminate everything that's ugly, then would everything be beautiful? Well, we try to make the house look beautiful by, and we kill off the weeds because we think they're ugly. And we clean the bathroom. We get rid of the poop because we think it's ugly. And it smells ugly too.
yes,
But have you ever ate your own poop? I haven't. But that's what some master did to show that everything is beautiful. Like that song, everything is beautiful in its own way. Something like that. What do you think?
I have not reached such an exalted level.
Of seeing everything beautiful, even what's ugly, what's normally considered ugly, could be looked at as beautiful. Then you would accept everything and nothing would bother you.
My
You
experience has been beauty comes and goes. And so, for that matter, does ugliness. And I seem to have very little control over them.
mm, mm. But beauty is not only in the eye, it's in the tongue. Whatever tastes good is beauty to the tongue.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way we've been programmed to seek beauty, and so we have a desire for what tastes sweet. And then yes, we found out that it involved sugar, so we extracted it and put it in our food in excessive amounts, and we got diabetes for it, and now we're
Yeah.
sick.
Mm-hmm.
hmm so maybe we're doing that here in this lake. We're trying to create beauty, and who
We're
knows, we have
trying
to
to,
put chemicals in the lake, and we killed off the alligators, or so it's not very beautiful for the alligators. Ooh, ooh.
yeah,
And
we continually try to bottle happiness.
oh yes, so we got to stop that, or we can't stop that. This sounds like a dinosaur. Oh, it's a crane.
Ah,
Mm.
you have a nice view there.
And some wild animals. come by. And I haven't seen any black bears out here in the lake, but they have been in the front because there's an island and there's a big tree, and the bear family likes to climb up the tree. But I haven't seen them lately. Maybe they got the neighbors called, and they got the security to take them away. Maybe they had to be shot dead to take them away.
Hmm.
Because there's a forest nearby. And we have to have a big trash cans with a lock, so the bears don't knock them down when we put them outside.
Okay.
Poor bears. Yep, that's the way it is. Hmm. So, what did we learn today about the uh what's it called? The hedron. Oh,
Amplituhedron?
amplituhedron.
Yes.
Hmm.
Well,
Well,
I'm not sure we learned anything about the amplituhedron, except it's a fashionable topic.
in physics, in
In physics
mathematics.
and
Mm.
in mathematics, yes. Although if you looked at that message I sent you, the thing that gets studied more is not the amplituhedron, but something called the positive Grassmannian.
The positive Rashomonian.
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
Well, the positive Grassmannian is something like a simplex in arbitrarily high dimensions and in projective space. Now, a simplex, a one-dimensional simplex is a straight line. A two-dimensional simplex is a triangle. A three-dimensional simplex is a tetrahedron, which is basically the same thing as a pyramid, except the base and the sides are all triangles. An n-dimensional simplex, well, we can't really, we can give descriptions of them using coordinates or other mathematical apparatus, but we can't really picture them or draw them.
Wow.
Projective space is kind of, it can be thought of as an extension of ordinary Euclidean space, where you add points at infinity. And projective geometry, I'm given to understand, has been very much of interest to artists doing paintings and sketchings. And certainly it's very much of interest to mathematics, in mathematics for pure mathematicians, and also for physicists doing things like quantum mechanics, because it turns out it's useful for describing some of the physics that they're interested in. And I think that's in the message that I sent you. More than that, if you want to know what a positive Grassmannian is, you might check that article that I sent you a website address for. That was one of the most accessible articles I've ever seen on that sort of thing. And that may give you some idea.
Mm. That was in Meetup, in the messages.
Hmm? It was a reply I sent to your.
Oh, wow. Let's see. Yes, Mike Taylor, because yes, that was yesterday at 1:31 p.m. because at 10:40 a.m. I said, what is an amplituhedron? And according to Wikipedia, in mathematics and theoretical physics, especially twistor string theory, an amplituhedron is a geometric structure introduced in 2013 by Nima Arkani Hamid and Jaroslav Trinka. It enables simplified calculations of particle interactions in some quantum field theories. In planar n equals 4 supersymmetric Yang-Mills theory, also equivalent to the perturbitological B model string theory. In twistor space, an amplituhedron is defined as a mathematical space known as the positive Grassmannian. No. Mike Taylor responded, I wrote, I don't know enough to tell you what an amplituhedron is, though I have the impression it is some sort of version of or transformation of a positive Grassmannian. And I do have a very vague and incomplete notion of the positive Grassmannian. The positive Grassmannian, as I understand it, is a special version of a higher dimensional simplex in projective space. What is a simplex? The n one-dimensional version is the line. The two-dimensional version is a triangle. In 3 dimensions, it is a tetrahedron. There are incarnations of the simplex in dimensions, though humans draw them up to through dimension 3. An n-dimensional simplex is in some sense the most elementary kind of polyhedron you can have in n-dimensional Euclidean space. However, we want our simplexes to be in projective space, not Euclidean. We can think of projective space as being a kind of extension of Euclidean space. I won't try to put down any details about that. I don't feel equal to the task, though projective space does, I believe, play a role in painting and sketching, architectural drawings, and quantum physics. Grassmannians do, I think, have an important connection to the book I'm trying to publish on geometric algebra and geometric calculus, but I have not tried to trace it out. The best place I can think of you for do something make sense is the article at www.quantummagazine.org, a mathematician's adventure through the physical world from 2020, 12/16. I have shared my ignorance with you and you're welcome to it. No charge. Oh, thank you. I clicked on it and there we go. Quantummagazine.org, where we will learn more about positive Grassmannians. Oh, look. Lauren Williams is going to show us the adventurous mathematical, what? Oh, she has charted an adventurous mathematical career out of the pieces of a fundamental object called the positive Grassmannian. There it is. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, she plays the violin. Oh. She won a math competition. There's the three-dimensional space. There's a Grassmannian of GR 1,3. What's a 1, 3? 3, maybe 3 means the dimension.
Well, the 1 refers to the dimension of the Grassmannian, and the 3 is the dimension of the space in which it's embedded.
Then there's a positive Grassmannian. Why is it positive?
Well, basically, it's as though you were in an XYZ coordinate system and you were looking at only those points with positive coordinates.
Oh, yes, I see it now. It's that yellow area, that section, because the Z is positive, the Y is positive, the X is positive. So it's this sector here.
Mm-hmm.
There it is. Yes, we have to think positive. Minimize the negative, right? Like that song. Accentuate the positive. Wow. I will increase my ignorance in positive Grassmannian by reading this article. Thank you.
All right.
Maybe I could improve my drawing skills. And I can project onto the canvas what's in my mind. Or I could use a projector and then project the drawing and then trace it. Thank you, Mike.
Okay.
I've learned something, or I'm going to get into this.
All right. As I say, that's about the most accessible article I've ever seen on this sort of idea. And Quanta is a magazine for the general public.
Oh, that's good. And then it's somehow related to what you have in your yet to be published book.
Yes.
What's it called?
An Introduction to Geometric Algebra and Geometric Calculus.
And can it be used as a textbook for classes in that?
I
Or a
think
supplement?
so. I did put in some exercises that I hope people can use. I'm not necessarily very impressed by the exercises I put in, but I tried. And I hope that the explanations are sufficiently clear and sufficiently interesting that people will find them useful.
What is one of the exercises, or does it require getting on using a pencil and paper and drawing it out, or can the exercise be described verbally?
Well, yeah, the exercises I'm sure can be described verbally after a month of study.
Wow. Damn. After a month. And how many pages does that involve in your book, A Month of Study?
I'm not sure. It depends on how swift you are. How determined.
Wow. So this combines geometry and calculus. And so what are some of the figures in geometry that are found?
Well, the idea is you're going to be looking at things like vectors, but you're going to have generalizations of ordinary vectors, which look like directed line segments, to things like oriented triangles floating in space, which are now treated as examples of vectors, quote unquote. Also, you're able to do things like divide by certain vectors, which ordinarily you can't do in analytic geometry or calculus. And the calculus itself in the book is set up so that you do it not simply in Euclidean space, but so that you do it on curved spaces, which are essentially what manifolds are.
Let's see. Geometric algebra. Let's see. Geometric algebra for physicists.
Yes.
Oh, that's $94. You have some competition. Look, geometric algebra. Linear and geometric algebra. There's
That's
a lot of books.
Donald's book. Yeah.
Geometric algebra and applications to physics. Oh, look, there's a history. So 300 BC. What? Synthetic geometry by Euclid. And it's split off into analytic geometric by that was presented to us by Descartes. That's the Cartesian coordinates. And then it was split off in, it went this way. Exterior algebra by Grassmann, 1844. So that's where you get positive Grassmannians, right?
Oh yeah, Grassmann was a very important figure, fundamental figure in the construction of geometric algebra.
Wow. So it's split off into these lineages and then they came together. Most recently, Pauli and Dirac, the spin algebra, and Ricci, tensor algebra. And then on this side, Clifford algebra, differential forms, and vector algebra. Wow, it's come together. So it must be powerful, must be useful.
That's my impression, that this is potentially very useful and very powerful. And yet the material in it, the beginning material, can be presented at an undergraduate level and really ought to be in a math curriculum, which it is not at this point in time.
It's not?
No.
Oh, great. Then you're
there are mathematicians that work on it, but as research material.
So you're attempting to fill a gap in our
Yes.
education so that we may become more useful to society and invent things that will beautify our life. Maybe 4-dimensional flowers or something like that.
I am attempting to spread an idea virus.
Maybe use Facebook and what others? YouTube. Maybe you could present lectures at home, and you get on a board and you give examples, and then you say, and you can find more exercises in my upcoming book. Stay tuned. It'll be out on Lulu or something like that, or what? Or
Well,
what?
I have too many other things I want to do. I'm going to be spending, I suspect, most of my time fiction writing.
Oh, then you can say, and don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for my next uh book titled science fiction
X-rated
book,
geometric algebra.
X-rated geometric algebra, corn for mathematicians.
Jairo, I'm gonna break it off now.
Okay,
I want to go do
you
some
got
other
better things
things.
to do, like eat breakfast, make your bed.
Mhm.
I have to make my bed. All right, thank you, Mike. I'll further investigate and learn more.
Okay.
See what, then I can quiz Luis Del Pino. All right, thanks.
Now you can go back and tell Louis, you now understand what positive Grassmannians and Altituhedrons are, but you know too much to explain it to him.
Wow. Oh, Joel Schuster is in the house. So what, as Mike Taylor departs, we can continue the meeting with another famous star of this show. Joel Schuster is in the house, and we have to say goodbye to Mike Taylor because he's got to go brush his teeth or something.
Yes.
Or
Sharpen my fangs.
yes, thank you, Mike.
Oh, I'm sorry to
Have a
miss you,
good week.
Mike.
Yes, it was really exciting. We had talked about beauty and in the mathematical sphere.
And did you talk about vampires and that sort of thing too, or no?
No, do you like that topic?
We
could
hadn't
talk about
worked
that.
up that high yet. All right, Joel, I'm sorry to say goodbye to you as you're coming in, but I think I'm going to head out now.
Okay, I'm sorry to miss you as well, Mike.
Okay.
And you missed Luis Del Pino too.
Oh no.
But I can
But maybe
summarize it.
your aim will improve. Okay. Take care, guys.
Take practice.
So
We'll
long,
see.
Mike.
Bye.
See you.
Bye.
Bye. That was fun.
Yeah.
Oh, you like the view?
Yeah. Where are you? Are you out for a walk or what is it?
That's the backyard where I live.
Oh, nice.
That's the porch. And there's a lake in the back. And houses are surrounding the lake.
Very
And there's
nice.
wildlife. There's cranes. They sound like dinosaurs. They're loud. They go. "Arr!"
And are the alligators coming out of the lake periodically, or?
Mm, I think they make sure no alligators make it alive in this lake. I've
Oh,
never seen an alligator.
oh, really? Okay.
Maybe they capture them or and take them away. I don't know. I've seen some water lilies grow in the lake. They probably put a chemical that kills some things. I wonder if there's any fish in the lake. Well, there must be some fish because there's some wildlife always around. Hmm. Hmm.
What?
Yes, we talked
What's the
about.
temperature there? Looks like it's nice and warm.
Oh wow. Hmm.
You're
Yes,
getting ready. You're getting ready for a haircut, Hyro.
yes, the temperature. Yes, it must be warmer than Canada.
Yeah, I couldn't be sitting outside today in my t-shirt. I'm sure not.
Mm. Yes, I woke up at 6:30 and got out of bed at 6:50 and and headed outside, and I sat down and it was a little darker at that time. Now it's gotten, yes, it's gotten nice and bright. It must be 8 something, 8:42. Wow. Yes. Yes, and it's getting warmer. Yes, but yes, I have a shirt on, and yes, it's kind of cold, but not real cold. Oh, it's getting windy actually. Hmm. I wonder what temperature it is. Let's see. Do I have a weather app? Yes, I have a weather app. The well, it will check the what location did it calculate? 64 degrees. Hmm. Kennesaw. What? That's not where I'm at. Kennesaw, Georgia. No. Change the location to Orlando, Florida. Hmm. Hmm. Man, what's the temperature in Orlando? Hmm. Hmm. Doesn't say yet. Orlando. Hmm. Well, now it says 72. So it's a little warmer in Orlando than it is in Georgia.
Yeah, 72 at 9 o'clock. That's nice. I guess would it go up to 80 degrees today?
Hmm. Probably. Let's enter Toronto. Hmm. Hmm. Toronto, Ohio. Toronto, Kansas. Toronto, South Dakota. Toronto, Iowa. Toronto, England. Old Toronto, Ontario, Canada. East York, Ontario. Now let's select on Toronto in Ontario, Canada.
That's me.
Holy holy, it's cold. It's 39 degrees.
Yeah,
How
that's
can
a
you live there?
that's about right.
Mm,
That is about
wow,
right.
39 degrees. I guess you're not gonna hang outside anytime soon.
No, not at all.
Mm, none at all. But that'll give you more time to zoom all over the place.
Yeah.
You zoom here, zoom there, everywhere. Zoom in Seattle, zoom in Toronto, zoom in New York.
Here a
52
zoom, there
living
a zoom,
ideas.
everywhere a zoom zoom.
Zoom. It's a wonderful day in the neighborhood to zoom. Yes. Today we talked about the amplituhedron,
Wow.
or that's a mathematical uh, technology to help us understand what happens to the light when it hits that tree or when it hits the sky and we see a rainbow. That's scattering particles of light in all directions, and some reach our eye and we see beauty. Look at that beauty. But beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But there's also the beauty in eating food. There's the taste beauty. the sweetness or saltiness or bitterness of food. There's beauty in food or pleasure. Maybe it should be called pleasure. What do you think?
Well, I think it's, wait a minute, I have it written down here. What's the right expression for it? I think it's the feeling, or it's the sensation of wellness or goodness or satisfaction. Maybe satisfaction is the better way to put it. I had it. Now, I haven't looked at it for a while, and now I can't find it.
Is that a definition for beauty?
Hold on, I don't even remember what it is. I used to look at it all the time, and now I've set it aside, and I don't know where I've put it.
Maybe it's over here.
Maybe
in Wikipedia. Let's see. Or I could type in what? What
oh, it's
is
happiness. The four kinds of happiness.
Oh.
But
Oh.
but I've lost it. I've lost my happiness definition. Does that mean if I can't define it, I can't be happy anymore? That can't be right. I still deserve to be happy even if I don't know what it is.
Oh. But if you can define it, maybe you can attract more of it. I'm going to define beauty according to the dictionary in hopes that I can attract more beauty in my life. Noun, a combination of qualities such as shape, color, or form that pleases the aesthetic senses, especially the sight. Okay. Also, a combination of qualities that pleases the intellect or moral sense, or denoting something intended to make a woman more attractive, a beauty treatment. Or the word beauty could also mean a beautiful woman. There's a beauty. Yeah, so now that I know what beauty is, maybe I'll attract more beauties. As Mike Taylor was talking about when he is thinking about mathematical geometry, that he sees beauty in it after a while, although there's the logic and the thinking process is arduous and is not very beautiful in itself. But when he climbs up the mountain of mathematical struggles and he gets to certain levels and he looks around and he sees mathematical beauty everywhere, using his mental sense, his mind, his sixth sense. But did you find a definition for happiness?
No, I didn't, and I'm quite disappointed because I used to refer to it quite often. You would think that, and I thought I knew just where I'd put it, but now it's gone. But
wow.
All I remember is there are four kinds of happiness. There's the happiness of flow, which is just the flow of doing things when you as you want, and the pleasure of the feeling you get just by doing them. There's Quranic happiness, which is the feeling of being blessed by God or religion, or feeling that you have some kind of spiritual blessing, if you will. There is eudaimonic pleasure, which is the pleasure of doing the right thing. And there's hedonic pleasure, like eat, drink, and be merry, the pleasure of just having a good time, if you like. Anyway, I think I remember the four of them, so maybe that's why I was able to lose them.
So there's cardonic, eudaimonic, hedonic. What's the fourth one?
Chironic.
Chironic.
Yeah. Maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong. Chironic.
Chironic?
Chaironic, I believe.
Well, there's in the dictionary, Oxford dictionaries, I looked up happiness, but that refers me to the word happy. See, happiness says the state of being happy. But it does. Then I have to look up the word happy. But there's some synonyms: contentment, pleasure, contentedness, satisfaction, cheerfulness, cheeriness, merriment, merriness, gaiety, joy, joyfulness, joyousness, joviality, jollity, jolliness, Joel, but you can call me Joel.
Ah, there you go. That's happiness by himself.
Blitheness, carefreeness, gladness, delight, high spirits, lightheartedness, good cheer, well-being, enjoyment, felicity, exuberance, exhilaration. Whew, I've never seen so many. Bliss. Oh, I like the word bliss. Rapture. Ooh, jubilation, blissfulness, euphoria. Heaven, paradise. Seventh heaven, cloud nine, delectable joy. Antonyms: unhappiness. There's a book called The How of Happiness. It by Sonia Lyubomirsky. She's a Russian American. She's a positive psychologist researcher. Describes happiness as the experience of joy, contentment, or positive well-being, combined with a sense that one's life is good, meaningful, and worthwhile. There she is. What is happiness? Oh, and then, but it all happens in the mind, right? Or does it happen in the body? Or it depends on the body and the mind?
I think it depends on both, and it depends on whether you've been smoking weed or not.
Oh, okay. Yes, I think. Let's see. But what if we yes, what if we had what if we smoked weed? That would make us happy for a while.
Well, I guess it does. It doesn't affect everyone the same, though. Some people, like some people get happy when they get drunk, and other people are kind of nasty drunks. So I'm not sure if it's a universal kind of thing. Maybe that's just part of hedonic pleasure.
And after a while, we get tired of it or bored with it, or
yeah,
it affects
that's another issue,
body.
I think.
Or it affects our body, and our body has to lay off that happiness, or it wears off, or our body gets used to it, and it no longer makes us happy, or it might make us sick. Like if eating one chocolate makes us happy, and if we keep eating it more and more, hoping that it'll increase our happiness, it'll probably go the other way and we'll get sick of chocolate after a while. Or when we have sex, remember back in the good old days when we had sex and
What's
we had an
that?
orgasm. Yeah, we had an orgasm and then we no longer wanted it. Or it's hard to have sex after an orgasm. The little death.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, the little death
Oh, a little death, yeah.
that kills off the happiness.
Or it satiates it for a period of time.
Yes. Maybe I can look up the 4 types of happiness.
Yeah, I remember there were 4, and I think I have them right. There's eudaimonic, hedonic, charonic, and I don't remember the 4th one.
Ooh, what is that music?
I don't know.
First of all,
That must be you, is it? It's not me, I don't think.
much longer and it's diversified. It's me. Japanese Sri Lankan Buddhism. It's very diverse. It's really like a living organism that is mutated according to different cultures.
Let's see.
Different cultures. So there are themes you can speak about for Buddhism, or you can simply say these are the Buddhist teachings. But there's a lot of variety as well.
Wow.
Consciousness. I can give a definition that is very widely held, and I think one reason for that is it's radically empirical. By my predisposition, inclination, I am very much an empiricist, and so I've heard a number of definitions of consciousness. I think there are 50 that are being bandied about these days.
What are you watching?
What I'm going to give you now, of course, I'm not suggesting it's
I'm trying to find it.
When it comes to definition, the only question that comes to my mind is it useful? And so here's the definition of consciousness. It is a natural phenomenon. Process.
I'm going to close it. Yes, it closes. It was, yes, I was listening to it this morning. Alan Wallace, and he's a Buddhist, and he was asked, what is the definition of consciousness? And he came up with one that was useful. Let's see. Oh, what are the 4 levels of happiness? Look, the 4 levels of happiness. The purpose of happiness is a human characteristic everyone has in common. For many, happiness seems to be an elusive goal. When this happens, people may turn to destructive substitutes like drugs or alcohol. Let's see, there are many different types of happiness: joy, excitement, gratitude, pride, optimism, contentment. The 4 levels of happiness. Let's see. The 4 levels of happiness represent your personal priorities and how you relate to others. The lower levels of happiness are more immediate feelings. The higher levels of happiness are more related to your values and ethics. Oh, what? Really? Level 1. Yes, it's a lower level. Pleasure. I guess that would be equivalent to hedonic. And level 2, passion. What could passion be?
Well, I think it's also a kind of hedonic pleasure, perhaps, unless it's frustrated.
Or maybe you have a hobby and you have a passion for it and you try to get better at it.
Yeah, that would be kind of a flow, I believe.
Then there's level 3, purpose. When you feel like your talents and skills allow you to serve others and they're part of something bigger. This can give you a sense of purpose and fulfillment and long-term happiness. Like you have a purpose with Darwin. These I can't see the word that's between the word the and 21st century game. The
Ancient.
the ancient. Ah, it's ancient 21st century game. So your background has failed to promote your Darwin game as being ancient. Oh, now I can read it. But now we only see your head up to your chin. Level 4, ultimate goal. This is a fundamental desire we have as human beings for perfect truth, goodness. There's that word, beauty and love. Maybe that's comparable to what you were saying about religious happiness. What was that one?
Chaironic.
Chaironic?
Chaironic.
C-A
AIRO.
Chironic?
Right.
Chironic happiness. Pronounced like chair? Chair on.
Like Cairo.
It's not pronounced chaironic, like chair.
Maybe I'm spelling it wrong.
From the Greek root chiro. Oh, that's like Hiro, but it's with a CH.
Yeah.
Denoting a spiritual gift. Chaironic happiness simply means blessing, joy, or gift of happiness of a spiritual nature, which is relatively independent of positive situations or our own happiness enhancing efforts. It refers to the kind of blessing or comfort in unlikely circumstances, such as in the midst of mourning or suffering. The unusual sense of awe and oneness in a transcendent encounter during meditation, prayer, or mindful awareness of nature. Examples are Apostle Paul's rejoicing while in a dungeon facing execution, the joy and serenity of Zen monks, the ecstasy of Christian mystics like St. Francis of Assisi, Mother Teresa's happiness in holding a dying homeless person, the joy of awakening or enlightenment in discovering the meaning of life, the peak experiences. What? So, have you had any of those forms of chaironic happiness?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. I suppose you'd know right away if you did, or you'd be able to recognize that.
Oh. What about a great orgasm with a beautiful woman, with a beauty?
That's a little
Pretty close.
personal.
That could be close to that. The joy of awakening or enlightenment in discovering the meaning of life. What is the meaning of life? If I could discover the meaning of life, would I find that to be a chironic? Chironic?
I think for a religious person it would be.
Hmm. Can an atheist have a chironic or chironic experience or happiness by discovering the meaning of life, or by definition, does an atheist include the quality or the limitation that an atheist cannot discover the meaning of life because an atheist does not believe that there is a meaning in life. So an atheist is excluded from having a chironic happiness experience. What do you think? So that's what you think. You just cough it off.
Well, I'm getting ready to go to another meetup, and I haven't put the coffee on, so I'm not really that into this discussion, but I just wanted to say hello and to see you and know that when do you get your first vaccine?
Well, when I was getting out of, or maybe when I was back, when I was out of the hospital, and maybe a week later, I called them up and following up, and they told me that I could get an appointment or set up an appointment for a vaccine as early as April. Oh wow!
It's
April's
April
coming
now,
up.
man.
To get it to get the vaccine. Well, at least set up an appointment in April to get it whenever in May or so. Or in other words, I'm immune at a minimum of 3 months or 90 days. But there's been studies that show that the immunity is much longer, like 6 months, a year, or in other words, the person that recovered from COVID-19 has the antibodies for many months afterwards. I don't well, there's some countries that have done studies and it shows that they've had it for many months, 6 months, 10 months. I don't know if it like weakens after so many months. Well, it's not too much, not, but they came up with the 90 days, I guess, as a minimum, and to get people vaccinated quicker. But so I guess I could get vaccinated in a month or so.
Well, you can probably get vaccinated even sooner than that. I think it's probably better to get it done, not?
Well, I feel like I got natural immunity for it, so I'm in no hurry to get it done. Ooh. Yes. So I wonder if there's a test for the antibodies that you could take a test. I guess there is, but I haven't looked into it. They would check if I still have antibodies for it. Maybe that would be the maybe it's expensive to do that test.
Well,
Maybe
it would seem that whatever the test says, you're still going to have to get the vaccine. So what does the test accomplish?
To show that I have antibodies. or that I still have the antibodies, and so I don't need the the vaccine?
I don't know if that will tell you that. Will it tell you, don't you have to have the antibodies at a certain level?
Hmm. Oh, so there's levels. The
Well,
strength.
I don't know. You better ask Mike. He's a mathematician. But if you've got, 2 antibodies or you got 10 antibodies, I mean, I don't know. You might have to have a certain ratio of some kind of different antibodies for every volume of blood or air or whatever. But I
Hmm.
think you got to find out from, uh, someone who knows.
Hmm. Let's see. Maybe someone on the internet knows. Let's see. How long after recovering from COVID can I get the vaccine? Recovered from COVID-19? Why you still need a vaccine? Let's see. Are you one of the millions of Americans that have been
I can't. You're muted, Hyro.
Oh, I must have accidentally hit it.
Yeah.
So does that mean that after getting the vaccine, well, if you get the Pfizer or whatever, that requires 3 or 4 weeks, you have to wait another 3 or 4 weeks to get the second one, unless you get the Johnson and Johnson, and then you have to wait another several weeks before you can be sure that you've received the full course of your vaccine, that you're most maximally immune. Hmm?
I don't know. That's something.
2 to 4 weeks to experience the full effect of the vaccine's immunity potential.
I think you've
2 to
got
4
to
weeks
talk
after
to
you receive.
somebody who understands this, a doctor.
Hmm. So, but what about when traveling? Like if you want to, there's some countries that require you to get vaccinated before arriving in their country, right?
That's right.
Like someone that has family in Spain that lives here, they require them to be vaccinated. So it could be months before they can travel to Spain. Well, 2 months maybe before. Well, at least a month to get the 2 doses, and then maybe well after you get the second dose, maybe they give you a certificate or something or proof that you've gotten the 2, and
Yeah,
then you can.
I think you'd have a certificate of some kind. Like I got one injection, they gave me a piece of paper with the date and time that I got.
Which one did you get?
I got AstraZeneca.
Uy. Yes. En un ratico. Okay. Okay.
I'm gonna go make some coffee now, Hyro.
Yeah. Okay. Are you going to another Zoom class?
Yeah, at 11 o'clock, the humanist one that you come to sometime. They're talking about women in politics, I believe.
Hmm.
Or else there's another one in Minnesota. I'd like to go to both of them, but I can only go to one.
You could put one on your computer and one on your phone.
Yeah, but then I can't pay attention to anyone.
No, you could take turns, like 1 minute pay attention to one, and then another minute pay attention to the other.
Yeah.
And then you would get half of each and be very confused. So I'm gonna let you go to get coffee. Maybe I'll go inside and get something to drink also.
Yeah. Well, you have a good day, and maybe we'll see you at the humanist meeting at 11 o'clock if you have the time and the interest.
Oh, actually, I have things going on. Oh,
Okay, you have a good
I
weekend. I'm
think
gonna
I
leave you,
signed up for
Hyro.
it. Oh, thank you. You too.
Take care.
Bye. Well, so what did we learn today? Well, we looked at I tried to look at the word consciousness, and we looked at this uh, the amplituhedron, and the beauty in mathematics and the beauty everywhere. What is beauty? And we looked at happiness, and then with Joe we looked at the COVID-19 vaccine. I haven't been concerned about getting it because I assumed that I'm immune to it. So maybe I should consider getting it. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna sign off. I hope everyone has a good day, and I hope this benefits someone somewhere out there. Thank you. Bye. I'm signing off. Bye. Well, maybe I should leave it on. Because maybe Rami will join us later. Let's see. I'm gonna go inside. And I still got, I got 8%. I better plug in my phone. Let me. Nice yoga mat. I think she washed them. Okay. It's hard to do this with one hand. All right. Now I'm gonna go inside. Oh, my mother's up, I think. Uy. Hoy, pero tengo otra, pero sí. Ok. Tiene como 15 minutos o 10 minutos. Voy a poner esto en el I'm going to put this phone in my room, keep it plugged in, and have it on. And put it like this. Oh. There we go. Turn it on. This. There we go. See. I wonder if these are connected to this phone. Well, I guess I could take this. Wait. How come it's not working? It's not plugged in. Oh my gosh, my pants are falling down. Okay. Now we're going to squeeze the mess. Greasy rock. No debes comer tanto o avena de la fruta. Ya sé que a mi mamá la está constipando, a mí también, y me puse a leer. Ahora que tengo que estar en una dieta, me dijeron que no puedo comer avena. Y tú comes toda esta avena, por eso tienes un estómago tan grande. Sí. Recomiendan, dice que te huevo o otra cosa. Tienes que comer proteína. Y le puse proteína. Gracias.
Pero no tanta avena 1 o 2 veces a la semana, pero no tanta toda la semana y tanto. Es que esa avena también tiene mucha justicia.
Mm.
Ya, ¿qué hay más? Jairo, Jairo. Habla, aquí hay más. Vamos a arreglar para ir a caminar. Hola. Hola. ¿Cómo estás? Muy bien. ¿Y vos? Bien. Mi voz está bien. Uy, tosió. Alguien, claro, sí, me oigo. ¿Está rico? ¿Ah? ¿Está rico? Rico. Sí, y ese igual de rico, es el mismo. ¿Tú lo hiciste? La Silvia lo hizo. ¿Rico? Ahí le estoy haciendo la arepa.
Uy, la arepa. A la Berta, sí, la reina. Ay, qué dicha. Arepa que hace tiempo no como. Sí, pobrecita. No le dan nada de arepa.
Mira, Jairo, aquí hay un poquito más ¿cómo se llama? Sal. Sí.
Mm. 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 Ah. Mm. 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 Oh. Mm. Mm. Sí. Uy.
Yo le diría más importante,
¿Qué? Uy.
medicina.
Mm. Mm. Interesante. Ah. Bien. Mm. 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 Okay. Mm. Bien, bien. Mm. Ah, I'm gonna share screen. Mm. Excuse me. Hey, let's see. Mm. Yeah.
Termina que mamá.
各位即将皈依三宝的发心菩萨们，大家吉祥！我是今天皈依说明会的主持人陈丹。我们的说明会马上就要开始了，请大家将手机调至静音模式，将我们的心念放在这次的说明会上。我们的说明会将在1点准时开始。各位即将皈依三宝的发心菩萨们，大家吉祥！我是今天皈依典礼说明会的主持人陈丹，在此欢迎大家参加今日的说明会，同时随喜赞叹大家皈依的信心和功德。皈依三宝是成为正信佛教徒的第一课，皈依以后就表示自己从此信奉佛教， 成为三宝佛法僧的弟子，不再信仰其他宗教。所以皈依三宝是确定信仰目标的表示。一个学佛的人如果没有经过皈依三宝的仪式，即使上香礼拜，也只不过是一个对佛教尊重而有兴趣的人，不能算是真正的佛教徒。所以我们学佛修行，首先应该皈依三宝。现在我将为大家介绍今天说明会的流程。首先由位于洛杉矶佛光山西来寺住持慧东法师为大家说明皈依的意义。接着由西来寺主任如松法师对皈依当日的注意事项进行说明。最后由西来寺监院一宣法师为大家讲解殿堂规矩以及问答环节。在此期间，大家有任何的问题都可以打在 chat box 里面，工作人员将会收集和分类这些问题，以便在事后的问答环节为大家向一宣法师提问。我们的说明会现在开始，请大家将电子产品调至静音模式，将我们的心念专注在这次的说明会上。现在让我们恭请佛光山西来寺主持慧东法师为大家说明皈依三宝的意义。恭请慧东法师。
各位护法居士，各位佛光人，大家吉祥！非常感谢佛光山宗的三宝和尚在疫情期间为全球尚未皈依三宝的佛光人和护法居士们来举行全球的线上皈依三宝典礼。那么皈依三宝的意义是什么呢？我们又为什么要皈依三宝呢？那么首先我们就要了解三宝是什么。佛法僧有三宝，顾名思义，佛就是自觉觉他的圆满的觉者。我们知道在我们的娑婆世界，自觉觉他觉行圆满的觉者是释迦牟尼佛。当然在我们的法界里面呢，还有很多其他的佛，比如说我们大家所熟知的西方极乐世界的阿弥陀佛，还有东方净琉璃世界的药师佛，以及还有无量诸佛。那么他们都是通过自己的修行而证得无上的菩提，以及在觉行圆满之后，还度化了无量的众生。所以我们说这些诸佛就是觉行圆满、自觉觉他的觉者。那他们也是我们皈依和学习的对象。所以呢，皈依佛就是向他们来学习。法就是佛陀所宣说的教法。佛陀在成佛以后，先度了五比丘，然后又度化了无量的众生，有他身边的弟子，也有一些天人和其他道的众生，这些我们在经典里面都有读到。而他所度化他们的方法以及他所宣讲的真理，就是我们所皈依的法宝。那么当然也是我们现代在读诵经典的时候呢，能够学习的三藏12部经。僧宝就是奉行佛法、和合共住的出家僧团，也就是僧团当中的出家众。他们清净修持，而且广度有情，所以呢，他们也是作为世间的三宝之一。佛法僧三宝除了这些我们看到的字面上的意义以外呢，我们还要皈依自性三宝。比如说佛就是觉，就是我们的真如自性；法就是世间的真理，我们也叫做世间的正法； 僧就是净，清净无染的身口意三业。六祖慧能大师在《六祖坛经》当中呢，有告诉弟子们，皈依自性三宝，佛者觉也，法者正也，僧者净也。自心皈依觉，邪迷不生，少欲知足，能离财色，名两足尊。自心归于正，念念无邪见，以无邪见故，己无人我，共高贪爱执着，名离欲尊。自心归于净，一切尘劳爱欲境界，自性皆不染着，名众中尊。若修此行，是自归依。所以我们在皈依三宝的时候呢，都会念皈依佛两足尊，皈依法离欲尊，皈依僧众中尊。两足尊就是在两脚站立的人类里面最为尊贵、最受尊敬的人。所以因为佛陀他成佛以后呢，内心里面非常的清净无染，所以是世间最受尊敬的人。他所内心拥有的佛法和真理是完全平等、清净无染，所以没有任何的欲望。因为没有欲望，所以呢，也就内心里面充满慈悲和智慧。所以我们叫佛陀或者诸佛离欲尊，世间远离欲望最尊贵、最受尊敬的人。众中尊，因为他们内心的智慧和慈悲，所以是人群当中最受尊敬的人，众中尊。我们在这次的皈依三宝典礼当中所依止的师父星云大师，也为我们诠释了三宝的意义。他说，佛是教主，法是真理，僧是导师，三者都是让众生得度的重要因缘。经典譬喻，佛如良医，法如妙药，僧如看护。对于患病的人来说，唯有同时拥有三者，才能病愈。人生也是如此，唯有依靠佛法僧三宝的力量，才能离苦得乐，才能获得自在解脱。我们内心里面充满贪嗔痴欲望的众生呢，就像心里面生病了一样，因为心里面有贪欲，所以呢，可能会不择手段的去做不好的事情。因为有嗔恨，可能内心里面因为仇恨会生出伤害之心，而这些呢，都像内心充满了染污一样。那么内心里面拥有贪嗔痴的人，他并不觉得自己有什么错，不觉得内心有贪欲或者嗔恨是不应该的，而按照自己的想法去做，这个时候
This kind of thinking is what we call a wise person recognizes their own faults and misdeeds. This is the perspective of practitioner. The Buddha taught us the Dharma to cure greed, anger, and ignorance.
修行者，所以呢，我们说佛陀是教我们佛法，给我们众生去除贪嗔痴的良医。
Here, the Dharma is the medicine.
佛法，真理。
Buddha is the doctor. The Sangha is the community of monastics, which have practiced the Buddhist teachings for generation after generation. So they are like nurses in a hospital. They teach the Dharma and take care of sentient beings. Furthermore, Venerable Master Xing says the Buddha is like light, which We know light can illuminate the world. It also gives us warmth. The Buddha is like light in the world. He gives us a sense of direction.
同时还可以给我们光热，可以温暖我们。所以佛就如世间的光明一样，来给我们照亮方向。法如水，
The Dharma is like water which nourishes sentient beings.
不仅能够
Water cleanses all things, and we can use the Dharma water to wash and nourish our mind.
来获得清净。
Water
同时，水还可以滋润
can use the
人的
Dharma.
内心，滋润万物。
Mm.
所以，
When we
内心
have
里
the
拥有
Buddha
佛法的时
and
候，
the
我们
Dharma,
看到
we
光
have
明，
light,
内心的黑暗
felt the darkness
就会
in our minds.
所以说，法如水， 能滋润众生；僧如
The
田，
Sangha is like a
能
field
植福众
in
恶。
which people can plant
出
merit.
家人
The
勤
monastic
修行，
community
我们
diligent.
在护持三宝、
When we
出家
support the
人的时
Triple
候
Gem
呢，
and support the
就像
Sangha, it is like we are
福田
planting
一样，
a field of
也
merit
是自
which
己
will
获
ripen
得
in
福报。
time.
同时，我们在
At the
尊
same
重、
time, we
礼敬、
respect and
信
revere
三宝
the
的时候，
Triple
内
Gem,
心就
which
会
causes our
有
minds to be
无
sincere
尽的
and
恭敬
abandon
虔
thoughts
诚，
of self
放下自我。
versus
所以呢，
other.
我
And we
们
venerate
在
the Triple
礼敬
Gem
三
and
宝的时
plant
候，
fields
在种福
of
田的时候，
merit.
内心就会
Our minds give rise to reverence, wisdom, and compassion.
慈悲这样的秧苗。皈依三宝，它的
Now, what is the
意义又是什么
significance
呢？
of seeking refuge in the
皈
Triple
依
Gem?
是
Seeking refuge means
低
to
头
return
靠
to,
三宝，
rely
寻
on,
求救护，而
go
得
to them to
解
seek
脱众苦的意
assistance
思。
and liberation from suffering.
皈依并
Seeking
不
refuge
是
is not
我
the same
们
as
只是
believing
内心里
in.
面相信。有的人可能
Some
会
people
说，
think that
这
believing
样
in
我信了就
Buddhism
好
is
了，
enough
我并不需
and that
要
seeking
去
refuge is
皈
not
依，
necessary.
这是
However,
对的。
this is not the
为
case.
什么呢？当我们
When we
虔
sincerely
诚
seek
的皈
refuge in
依
the
三
Triple
宝
Gem,
来作为佛
we
弟子
truly
的时
put
候，
down our
其
own
实
thoughts.
我们是
This
真
is
正
about
的
taking the
放
Buddhist
下
teachings
自己
as our
内
own
心的想
perspective.
法，不是
It is about
把
letting go of our
佛法僧
own
三宝
ego
或
and
者
returning to
佛
the
法
Triple
所
Gem.
宣说的真理呢，来作为一个
Returning
想法，而
to
是
came
完全放下
from
自我，放下内心的想法，
from
那
the
么归头
Buddha
在佛陀，归头在三宝
or the mind,
这个时候，内心
original
完
nature.
全
At this
虔
time,
诚
our mind is
而获得
sincere
清净。
and
所
pure.
以
Therefore,
皈依
seeking
三宝，
refuge in the
我
Triple Gem
们
is the purest thing we can do.
内心里
So
面
when we do it, we
要
must be
追求
solemn
清
and
净的
sincere.
这样的一件事情。
Am I
我
solemn and
们应
sincere?
该内
Let's
心里面
generate solemn
非
and
常
sincerity.
严肃
Seeking
地
refuge in the
来对
Triple
待
Gem
皈依三宝的
can
真正
refer
意
to
义。
seeking refuge
星云大师
in
说，
the
是从
original
最
Triple
初三
Gem
宝
as well as
中
the
常住
eternally abiding
而皈依自
Triple
性
Gem.
三宝。最初三宝就
Seeking
是我
refuge
们
in the
所
original Triple
知道
Gem
的，
refers to
在
the
佛陀
Buddha,
的时代，那个时候
Shakyamuni.
最初三宝佛
His
宝
teachings, such
是
as the
佛
Four
陀，
Noble Truths and the 12
茶
Links of
宝
Dependent
是
Origination,
所
that would
宣
be the
说的
Dharma,
四圣地十二因缘。那么
and the
所
monastic
度化的
community of
僧
the
宝就
earliest
是无比
five
丘。
monks.
那从最初三
This
宝
that
到我
extends
们
now to the
1600
Buddhist
年以后，我们现
that
代人
use the
到寺院
entirety
里
of the
面
Buddhist
看到的
teachings.
佛像，读到
In
的
the
经书，
monastics,
看
we
到所
encounter
尊敬的出家人。那么这个时候呢，我们看到的是
this
常
encompasses
住
the
三宝，
eternally
所住持
abiding
三宝。
Triple Gem.
那我们
We used to seek
从
refuge
这
in the
样
Triple
一
Gem
个
of
慢
our
下
own
来
nature,
的学习呢，最终是要开发
which
我们
we
内
discussed
心的自信，
earlier as
什
awakening
么就是自信心。
proper and
就是刚
purity.
才我
We
们
seek
说的
refuge in our
觉
inner
正
awakening
静，内心的觉悟。佛陀说，
because all
人人
sentient beings
皆有
have Buddha
佛性，
nature.
因此皈依
Asking
佛法
refuge in the
僧
Triple
宝
Gem is
就是
seeking
皈
refuge
依自
in
己，
oneself.
也就是
They said
皈依。
the mind,
所
the
谓
Buddha
心
sentiments are
佛
no
众
different
生
from each
无
other.
二无别。所以对于
Thus,
三宝，
we
心
should
中
treat the
一定
Triple
要
Gem with
具
respect
备
and faith.
恭敬与肯定，才能
Only
启发
then can we
自造
receive its
利益。
benefits.
所以我们在皈依三宝的时候，
When
有一个放下自己内心
we
的
seek,
想法
we let go of
这
our
样的
own
一个
thoughts,
心态，内心充满虔诚恭敬，
and the
应该是
mindset is
非常
filled with
非常
respect
重
and
要的。
veneration. When we let go of
那
our own
么
thoughts,
我们为什么要
why do we seek
皈依三
refuge in
宝？
the Triple
皈
Gem?
依三宝
What kind of
的
benefits do we
意
receive?
义，或者说
seeing refuge, we become actual disciples of the Buddha. you will have received the Dharma, which washes away our greed, anger, and receive the Dharma means we're disciples of the Buddha. After seeking refuge, we will not fall into the lower realms, like the hell realms, or the animal realms, or the angry ghost realm. Sure. No, I don't know Chinese. I was imitating. But I'd like to learn Chinese, be able to read all this. The characters look pretty square there. Because we spend our entire lifetime studying Buddhism and put effort into cultivation, the result, our negative karma decreases. I miss some. After we seek refuge in the triple gem, our minds become pure and we say good words, good deeds, and think good thoughts. Good words, good deeds, think good thoughts. By adorning ourselves with these three practices, we develop an adorned character, and virtuous spirits will protect us. In the sutras, we can see that great bodhisattvas and spirits promise the Buddha that they will support practitioners throughout the future. Seeking refuge in the Triple Gem can earn us respect from all sentient beings. As we're planting virtuous seeds, we will reap virtuous fruits. By helping others and being and benefiting sentient beings, our minds are filled with compassion and let go of our ego. When we encounter the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, or people who benefit sentient beings, our lives are filled with virtuous friends and advisors. When we seek refuge in the Triple Gem, we have the foundation for receiving the 5 precepts or even Bodhisattva precepts. As a result, when we seek refuge in the Triple Gem, we have the potential to receive. It will also allow us to attain Buddhahood. Our lives are not perfect and we are unable to immediately become Buddhas. But as long as we do not lose our initial resolve, we will be able to progress and get there eventually. Some people ask after one seeking refuge, what are we expected to do? Here's the catch. Although seeking refuge is not the same as precept, and so sometimes these are called, after seeking refuge, the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha, our faith is a representation of our mind and character. We seek refuge in our inherent nature and we should not mistreat it. We should respect ourselves and respect the Buddha's teaching and how to carry ourselves in daily actions and conduct. We should do good deeds, say good words, and think good thoughts.
正与正念，
Do good
奉
deeds,
行
say good words,
做
think
好
good
事、
thoughts.
说好话、存好心的
Do good
三
deeds,
好并购，
say good.
那么这
This is
才
what
是
is meant
真正
to
了
truly
解
understand
皈
seeking
依三
refuge
宝
in
的
the
意义。
triple jam.
还有人
Some
问，
people have asked,
那
how
皈
should we
依三
improve
宝以后，
ourselves
我
even
们是否
further?
还可以再进一步的来提升自己呢？还是说皈依三宝就够了？大师说，
Is it
皈
enough to
依
just
只是
stop
信仰而已，
at
我
seeking
们内
refuge?
心确定了正确的信仰，
Seeking
但
refuge
这个时候呢还不够，
is
等
just
于一个
faith.
人
It
读
is
了一
like
年级，
the first
当
grade.
然还要继续读2年级，不断的提升自己。另外，皈依三
After
宝之
seeking
后，
refuge, we
接
must
下来
improve.
就
Go
要
on to
求
second
证
grade. We
途径
should work towards
在
requesting
生
the
活中
5 precepts
来行实
and
事。
practicing the 10 virtues.
所以有人问，
After
我受
receiving
了
the
戒以
precept,
后，那犯戒怎么办？那犯戒了，是不是
what
就
happens
会
then?
有
Does
更
it
好的
mean
境界
violating
呢？
a precept is
其实不是。
no, we
当我
might
们内
make
心有了
mistakes
正确的
despite our
信仰，
faith and
而
practice.
且有了戒条的约
And
束
we
以后
fail
呢，
to keep the
虽然
precepts, but we
按照
can
业力
repent
的
and
经验，有
reform.
的时候还会犯错，但是我们可以去忏悔。有了忏悔之心的
The
人，
mind of
其
repenting
实
and reforming
也
is
是
also very
内心里
important.
面非常的庄严的。那么比不
If you
知
do
道
not know where we
做错了事情，
are in the
还不知
wrong,
道自己
then
错的
that is
人呢，那当然呢，
much more severe if you don't know that we made something
有
wrong,
的人
did
还会
something
问，
wrong. Some
皈
people
依
ask,
三宝
after
以
seeking
后，
refuge, is it
那
okay to
么我
occasionally
还
go
可
and
以有
pray
的时候陪
to
朋
local
友
spirits, go
去
to
拜一
church?
拜神庙吗？
Of course.
那当然可以，还是可以去祭拜祖先，或者去向其他的神祇呢来
Also, we
表
can
达
pay
恭
respects
敬。
to other deities
那么这个时候，
besides
我
respecting
们
all other
就
people.
像恭敬、尊重其他
We
人
should
一样，
respect other
对
religions
其
and
他一
deities
切
as
众生都应该心
well.
怀谦卑、恭敬。有些人会问，皈依
Some
三
people
宝以
ask
后，
after seeking refuge,
那
which
要
Buddha
拜
bodhisattvas
佛，
should we
佛教
venerate?
有那么多的佛菩萨，到底我应该拜哪一尊菩萨、哪一尊佛呢？大师告诉我们，
All
所谓
Buddhas share the
佛佛
same
都
path.
同，佛菩萨并没有前后
There
名
is
字、
no
阶
higher or
层、
lower
方
Buddha,
法的
nor
分
any
别，
difference in merit.
就如光明这一盏光和
They're
那
just
一
many
盏
lamps,
光，
each shining their
彼
own
此
light.
相照，互不障碍。
Mm.
皈依
We
三
should
宝也可
learn
以说
from
是
anybody
亲近
who's
善
the
知识，
virtuous
凡
advisor.
是对我们的道德、学问、对我们的知识、未来有帮助的善知识，都可以向他学习，不必妄加分别。像我们周围有很多的佛光会的会员干部，他们无私的奉献自己，照亮别人。其实他们就是我们身边的菩萨。那有的
Puedes
人
tomar
会问，
tu
那我
medicina
皈依三宝以后，我的师
con
父
el
是
té
谁呢？
o
我们
mejor
依
con el
止
agua.
的是星云大师，我们
Sí.
皈依的是佛法僧
¿Faltan
三。
cuántas? ¿3 o 4?
在佛教里面，我们非常重视一
Entonces
师
puedes
一道，
tirar en el
因
plato
为法门无量，我们都
para
要去学
comértela.
习。毕竟啊，在
O las
各个
puedes
传统
sacar.
之间有很多不同的方法，那我们只有
Porque
不
las
断的深入，
dejó
不断
Silvia
的
y
学
me
习，
dijo que
而
no
不
se
是
le
今天
olvide
用这种方法，明
a,
天又换一种
a
方法
recordarle
来
a
使
la
用。
Bertecilla de
我
tomarse
们
las
呢，对
medicinas.
自己的内心产
Se tienen
生
que tomar
恭敬
todas,
之
pues
心，
no se
就
vuelve
无法真正
débil
付
y
出。
se enferma.
在佛光山， 我们所行的是人间佛教， 也就是我们生活在人
Since
间，
we live in the human
我
realm,
们
we need to
要
be
能够
respectful
在
and utilize
生活里
ethics,
面，
concentration,
在
and
自己
wisdom
的工作
in our
当中， 甚
workplaces
至
and in
于
our
在家
family.
庭、朋友之间，我们随时啊都能够心存恭敬，都能够用智
Self-blessed
定慧
and working
来
to
修
liberate
持
sentient
清
beings.
净自己的内心，并且无私的奉献，用福
Let go of
奉
our
献
ego so we can be filled with
来
purity and
广
wisdom.
度有情，同时呢，使自己的内心放下自我，充满清净智慧。那以上呢，就是跟大家
We should thank our
分享
master,
皈依三宝的意义。我们非常感
the
谢我们的
master
师父上人
Xing Yung.
给我们皈依三宝的机会。
In his teachings
感
on the
谢
significance of
光
seeking
会
refuge,
宗长
refuge,
老和尚 为我
We
们
should be
主
appreciative
场
of this
送皈依
opportunity
皈依
to
佛
seek
法僧
refuge
三宝的典礼。希望我们
and
每
thank
一位护法居
Sing
士
by
和佛
we'll
光
be
人
able to learn
都能够
humanistic
秉
Buddhism
持人间佛教的理
and
念，
liberate
未
sentient
来
beings in the future.
弘法利生。
感谢
Thank you,
佛法僧
Venerable
的开
Hui
示，
Dong,
让我们了解
for
皈
the
依三宝的真
teachings
正
of the
意
true
义。
meaning of
也
seeking
请大
refuge.
家不要忘记，如有任何的问题，都可以打到
Today,
chat box 里面，工作人员
our-
将会收集这些问题，在最后的问答环节为大家
That's
向一位老师进行提问。
not
接下来
live,
的环节是对皈依当日注
but
意事
that
项的说
was
明，让我
recorded
们有请
in
西来寺主任
Taiwan
如松法
and
师。
maybe in Los Angeles.
线
They
上
have
的忍者，大家
uh,
吉祥。
a chapter in
由
Los
我
Angeles.
来为大家说明皈依
The
典礼当天的一些注意事项。 皈依典礼的日期，大家
So
记
there's the
得
schedule.
我们台湾时间是3月31号早上
The
2点，
those are
在美国
Taiwan
时间
times probably.
日期是3月30号星期二，美西时间6点，中部的时间7
And
点，
that might be for
东
me
岸的时间呢是
the
9
following
点，
day.
请大家
Maybe
注
not.
意自己的所在地。
So you make sure you have the right time.
我们全程
Zoom meeting
的进行都是使用 Zoom
and
meeting。
in YouTube.
1周以前呢，会把
So
Zoom
we'll be
meeting
holding the
传
whole
在
event
地面
on
给
Zoom.
各位皈依的报名者，请您
1 week before the
事先下
ceremony,
载
we will
Zoom
resume a
meeting 的
Zoom
软
link
体。
in your email.
此外，还需事先下
Yeah,
载
I
虚
got
拟
the
的
Zoom
笔
link
记，
just now.
典礼时要统一使用，留
Mm.
意典礼的整体呈
Oh,
现。如果您家人想要
I
观
have
礼，
to go to
请与
another
管理人员
meeting. Let's see. I'm gonna have to stop this meeting. Or, yeah. I'm gonna stop sharing. So, Rami didn't show up. What? Screen broadcasting. Okay. So, Rami hasn't showed up. And I was reading or listening to the video recording of preparation for seeking refuge, a Buddhist ceremony that's going to happen for the School of Buddhism from Taiwan. They have a big statue in Taiwan. It's a humanistic Buddhism. It's Po Guang Chan, I think, something like that. And it's a big school, growing school in centered in Taiwan, but it's everywhere, all over the world. There's a big temple in Los Angeles, and some good sized centers in Florida. I don't know where else they have them. I know there's one in South Florida. I'm familiar with the one here in Orlando. And so they're going to have a refuge ceremony in a few days over Zoom. So I was getting psyched up and ready for it. But now I'm going to end this meeting. Thank you for joining us. I hope this helped. I'm going to end this meeting. Sorry, Rami.